No idea about where to invest? How about I show you the top 10 cities to invest in the UK? Hi guys, I'm Jim, and along with my brother we have a small property portfolio, and we also help people build their own portfolios in the Northwest completely hands-free. This channel is going to document my learnings and experience of what property investing is actually like boots on the ground. So if you're interested in growing your own portfolio and learning more about property, please hit the subscribe button and let's get into it. Before we jump into the 10 cities, it's worth breaking down how we're going to be measuring these numbers. This top 10 list is ranked based on average gross yields. So what do we mean when we talk about yields? It's simply the amount of money you make from a rental property each year versus the cost of purchasing it and running it. Typically, it's expressed as a percentage. We have two types of yields we can work out. One is gross, which just means before any cost. This is super quick and easy to work out and is a good yardstick to understand if a deal merits any further research. It's also a good and easy way to compare properties from around the country. Then we have the net yield, which is what your return is actually going to look like, due to the fact it includes other expenses such as running costs and property maintenance. So how do we work out gross yield? Well, you take your annual rent and you divide it by the value of the property and multiply it by 100 to get the percentage. So let's say you purchase somewhere for £120,000 and you're going to be charging £700 a month to rent it out. So we need to work out how much we're going to make every single year. So we take 700 and multiply it by 12, giving us 8,400. We then take this number and divide it by 120 and multiply it by 100, which gives us a 7% gross yield. What about net yield? Well, it's actually a very similar equation. We just need to bake some costs in there as well. You need to take away your annual costs from your annual rental income. So let's say you have costs of £250 per month. This could be your mortgage, your letting agency fees, maintenance, insurance, all that sort of stuff. And now if you want to see how much I pay each month for my buy-to-let, I did a detailed breakdown of how much it actually costs me and how much I make. So make sure you check this out at the end of this video. So it'd be 250 times by 12, which would be £3,000 a year. So you do 8,400 minus the £3,000 divided by 120 times by 100, which would result in a net yield of 4.5%. For context, it's worth mentioning some average numbers from across the UK. The average gross yield is 5.49%, but we don't want anything to do with average. We want those juicy returns. That's the exact reason why I've made this video. Now, the average buy-to-let property costs £262,288 with an average rent of £1,201. Now, all this information is from a Zoopla report, which you can link in the description if you guys want to check it out for yourself. So let's have a look at the top 10 places to invest in the UK based on gross yield. Coming in at number 10 is Grimsby Town away in the FA Cup. Located in the northeast of Lincolnshire, Grimsby has an average gross rental yield of 7.07%, with the average monthly rent being £602 and an average purchase price for buy-to-let being £102,208. I had no idea until I started researching for this video, but Grimsby is the centre of the UK's offshore renewable sector, with it estimated that 4,000 plus people are employed in the energy and renewable sector across the Humber region. Linked to this, it has brilliant access to lots of the European markets for both energy and fishing. Mostly due to its coastal location, it has one of the busiest ports in the UK, again making it a hub for jobs and trade. At number 9 on the list we have Hull City, with an average gross rental yield of 7.3%, an average monthly rent of £594 and an average buy-to-let purchase price of £97,602. Again, another location which is on the coast. This works in Hull's favour, making it an important location for commerce and industry. Link this with the fact the city has gone through a period of investment, having won the City of Culture in 2017, and projects like the Hull City Plan make it a more attractive place for investors. Of course, the cheap purchase price as well is going to help. In 8th position is Blackburn, with an average gross rental yield of 7.41%, an average monthly rent of £656 and an average purchase price of a buy-to-let of £106,209. Located around 22 miles north of Manchester, Blackburn has excellent transport links, being close to the M65 motorway. Also, it has both direct trains to Manchester and nearby Preston, meaning it's easily commutable to both cities. When it comes to the economy, Blackburn has a diverse mix of manufacturing, healthcare and retail. In 7th, we have somewhere I know super well, which is Liverpool, with an average gross rental yield of 7.43%, an average rent of £798 and an average buy-to-let purchase price of £128,905. Obviously, I'm biased and I think Liverpool and the Northwest is the best place to invest on this list. Again, it's another city which is a port, and Liverpool has a good local economy centered around its port and the tourist side of the city. But the biggest benefit of Liverpool is the amount of quality further education providers, making it a perfect city for students. And as we all know, it's the best night out in the country. In sixth place, we're going to move over the border going into Scotland, with Aberdeen having a gross rental yield of 7.45%, an average rent of £673, and an average buy-to-let purchase price of £108,436. Aberdeen is well known for its location to the North Sea, meaning it's become a centre for the oil and gas industry. Not only this, but the city is also investing a lot into the renewable space, resulting in it having a strong local economy. In fifth place, we've got Middlesbrough. Now, it feels like all the best investment areas are former Premier League football teams. Middlesbrough has an average gross rental yield of 7.85%, an average rent of £604, and an average buy-to-let purchase price of £92,292. Again, another city which is close to the sea, Middlesbrough has good transportation links to nearby cities like Newcastle and Darlington via train connection, along with major road networks such as the A66 and the A19. Not only this, but the Tees Dock and the Riverside Park have gone through a significant period of redevelopment. Back up north again for the fourth spot with Glasgow. Glasgow has an average gross rental yield of 7.9%, with an average monthly rent of £930 and an average buy-to-let purchase price of £141,180. Glasgow has a diverse and thriving economy with strengths in finance, technology, tourism, education and healthcare, with some major multinationals having bases up there along with some new startups. Making up the top three is Burnley, with an average gross yield of 7.96%, an average monthly rent of £561 and an average buy-to-let purchase price of £84,575, which is super cheap. Burnley is located geographically close to Blackburn, so also benefits from a lot of the same transport advantages. Not only this, but there's been significant regeneration efforts in recent years, changing the makeup of the town centre along with improving the infrastructure. In second place, we have our last trip up north to Dundee, with an average gross rental yield of 8.5%, an average monthly rent of £783 and an average buy-to-let purchase price of £116,498. Again, another city located on a waterfront. This waterfront has gone through major regeneration in recent years, with the V&A Museum, which opened in 2018, becoming a major cultural attraction. Not only this, but Dundee has a strong reputation in research and innovation, having two major universities in the centre. Finally, top of the list is Sunderland, with an average gross rental yield of 8.5%, an average monthly rent of £598 and an average buy-to-let purchase price of £84,432. Again, another city which is located on the coast. This has good transport links, has a port, has gone through a period of regeneration, which all leads me on to some of the meta points about these locations. For me, looking at all the places on the list, they're all in the north of England or in Scotland. Now, typically, they've all been areas which have been hit by industrial decline in the 70s and 80s, but now they have lots of investments and regeneration. Generally, they have a few strong industries or universities which makes them famous for a certain thing. Adding good transport links, and it's easy to see why people are starting to look to these areas for their investments. So trying to spot an area where you think it might go through some regeneration would be worth focusing your time, in my opinion. Now, if you're thinking about investing in any of these places, I have a 45-minute video showing me breaking down a completely new area to me. So this could be a good guide about what to look for when you want to do more research and try and find some postcodes to start looking for properties in. Another point worth making is this list only covers cities. There'll be pockets around these cities where you'll be able to get higher yields than these listed. Personally, I think this is the best hack in property, is to take a place like Manchester and to start investing in the surrounding areas. Maybe I'll do a video on that methodology, so if you want to see a breakdown of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. What does the UK housing market look like moving forward? Well, according to Zoopla, tenant demand is a third higher than the 5-year average, while supply is limited by low new investment, which shows that demand is 100% there. Finding the strategy to serve the demand is our jobs as investors. They also believe that rents will rise between 5 to 8% in 2024, which is actually the lowest rise since 2021. They also expect that house prices will fall, so if they do and rents carry on moving upwards, this will push your gross yields even higher. But what other things should we consider when looking to invest into buy-to-let? You want to understand what the house prices are doing in these local areas. So you want to find the postcodes which will work in the places like Sunderland and track the house prices to see what they've been doing over the long term. This will help form the capital appreciation piece, which is the other main advantage of investing into property. Another key thing to understand is the cost of any finance. This is where having a good broker is key. If you're buying within a limited company, you'll have to pay a higher interest rate, which could squeeze the cash flow in the deal. So this stuff's important to bear in mind. If you're stuck for a broker, I can put you in touch with mine. Just drop me a direct message on Instagram and I'll do that for you. Broadly, we can all agree there's still demand for properties in the UK, but we just need to understand this on the micro level in the postcodes where we're going to be investing. So make sure you check out my 45-minute video on me doing a deep dive into a completely new area. Or you can also check out my full breakdown on how much money we make from our buy-to-let property. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.